Hi there. Now then, before I read this chapter to you, I am going to have to explain two things so that you don't misunderstand. Welcome back, by the way. You have landed on Sample Chapters, which is the channel that gives you good Christian book reviews, encouragements about God and encouraging you in your Christian walk, and also reading chapters from my own books. Today I'm going to be reading you a chapter from my book entitled Why You Make God Smile Despite Your Faults and Weaknesses. I have many faults. This is volume 1. Okay, now I want to say first off, I do not advocate that it's okay for Christians to swear. It is not right for Christians to use swear words. And I mention in this story that I got mad, I got angry, I lost it and I swore. It's not that bad swear word that you're thinking of, but nevertheless it is a word that Christians shouldn't really use. Of course I'm not going to actually say it, I'm just confessing it, but I wanted to make that clear that I don't advocate that it's okay. It is a lack of self-control, which is sin. It is anger, which is sin, and God does tell us in your anger sin not. Also, I mention or allude to a television program that my daughter was watching, and it is called Take Me Out, which is an English television program hosted by a man called Paddy McGuinness, and it's basically a whole load of women stood round podiums, and a man comes down a chute and they have to decide whether they think he is hunky enough, whether they fancy him enough to want to go out with him, and then they try and be the ones to have him like them and go out with them. And it's very worldly, you know, they go out together. It's just a non-Christian thing, you know. So if you wonder what I'm saying, that's what I'm referring to. There is a bit where he says to them, no likey, no lighty, which means if you don't like the guy, don't press your light, because they have to press this light, a buzzer on their podium, if they like this guy or not. So that's just explaining that, because it's not explained in the chapter, because it would make the chapter rather silly, boring, and sometimes you just have to say things and assume the person knows what you're talking about. So there you are. I'm going to read this to you now. It is called Coping with Frustration, the Grand Old Duke. I had a wobbly. I mean a real wobbly. When I told my husband how I'd been, he thought I was saying I'd been unwell. But to me, a wobbly is when one is feeling so emotionally overwhelmed they react in an irrational manner. For me, it was heaving a DofE rucksack into the air. I'll explain what DofE is in a minute. So, yes, heaving a DofE rucksack into the air, then hurling it across the living room with an accompanied expletive that Christians are not supposed to verbalise unless they have the excuse of having only been saved 4 weeks. In my regenerated self, no godly attributes were on display as the polythene bagged contents flew out and landed precariously upon various items of furniture. Sleeping bag, clothes, towel and first aid kit were delighted that they had been released from their suffocating interior. After having been squashed in so tightly, I'm surprised it hadn't broken my fingers in the arduous process of pressing down with all my might. D of E stands for the Duke of Edinburgh Award, which is a UK programme for young people designed to instil confidence, new skills, teamwork, healthy lifestyles and industriousness into them. There are different levels of intensity performed in order of bronze, silver and gold. And children usually join the scheme at 13 years old. Each level ends with a hiking expedition. This involves traipsing around the English countryside, holding a rain-soaked map and half of their lifetime possessions strapped to their back. In truth, it causes a myriad of blisters in places you never thought could even turn red. Multiple fractures of the spine, loose vertebrae, twisted shoulders, bad posture, And it turns the sanest parents into basket cases when they see how much their offspring has to carry around on their bones for a grueling 6-hour hike. After sending several emails to my daughter's school to inquire how on earth she was supposed to fit so much inside a 65-litre contraption that weighs more than she does, even when empty, I was getting nowhere. 4 weeks before the trip, I was satisfied that I had managed to fit everything in. But a week before, she casually announced that there was more to buy, hence more to take. Her side of the conversation went like this. Mum, I have to take 2 packed lunches and I've been allocated the washing up liquid. No, school aren't buying it, you must. Oh, and tea towels and a dishcloth. No, the teacher won't be carrying them, I will. No, Mum, not on my head, in the rucksack. Well, she said I have to fit it in somehow. Mum, calm down. The day before, I had been watching a YouTube video about how to fold clothes in amazingly neat ways. Taking each polythene bag out one by one, I refolded everything that was made of cloth. Slowly, I began to repack, but no matter how hard I tried, I could not get all the items into the main compartment like before. The metal crockery pushed the sleeping bag above the drawstring, like icing being forced out of a piping bag. Every other zipped orifice was stuffed full of required items. Oh, and I need to provide the paper plates, came a phlegmatic murmur from the child leaning on the armchair, staring at the television with remote control in her hand. What? How many? Are you serious? I said. Teenager shrug. Teenage mumbling. Teenage biscuit crumbs falling onto the carpet. Paddy McGuinness shouting from the screen in the corner. No likey, no lighty. Mother clenching her teeth and inhaling deeply. I think I forgot to exhale, for when I did, a weird noise came from my lungs. But do you know what it was that finally made me flip? It wasn't just the fact that I couldn't get the once compliant expedition clobber back into the rucksack. It was the last comment I heard just as Take Me Out was ending. Sarah looked round at me, smug that now her programme had finished, her memory cells were back into play. Oh, and I need to bring the hot chocolate. That is the moment when my angel winced as he witnessed my parental hysteria. That is the moment when a whistle and a hairbrush landed on top of the fish tank. I am so glad God foresaw our angst and wrote a love letter to us. In times of frustration, it is verses like this that prevent me from doing other people physical harm. John 16:33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have perfect peace. In the world you will have tribulation, distress and suffering, but be courageous, confident, daunted, full of joy, for I have overcome the world. Well, in reality, my frustrations were totally my own fault. I was being too hands-on as a parent. The DofE is a great scheme, and one of the reasons for it is to encourage young people to become more independent. I don't think that packing a rucksack while one's offspring sits watching Take Me Out is what the dear Duke had in mind when he set it up. Sometimes children need to be left to figure things out for themselves. Yes, indeed, I think the Queen's husband was very innovative when he thought of this scheme, but next time I shall do what parents are supposed to do. Make one's child do it all. Sit back and stay calm, knowing that they have to make their own mistakes. Sarah won't have any fond memories of packing her bag because I did it for her. Like how the butterfly's wings are too weak to fly when they don't go through the struggle of pushing through the cocoon, Sarah didn't learn to appreciate her rucksack, and after completing the 3-day camping course, she came back with the contents missing. When I inquired where they were, she nonchalantly replied that she left them behind because they wouldn't fit inside. I gritted my teeth and blamed myself. I had encouraged this brutish behaviour. Well, thank you for listening to my recital of that chapter. I apologise for the places where I stuttered. Sometimes it's not easy to read aloud. I hope that it was okay for you. If you enjoyed that story and you would like to hear more stories, please subscribe so that you will not miss anything. And you know what I'm going to say, because all YouTubers say, and doesn't it get annoying, please click that little bell so that you will get a notification. And if you don't want to, fine, that's okay. Just hang around for, I don't know, a couple of days or so, and I'm sure there'll be another video of mine that is uploaded. Please let me know, if you are a parent, when you have had a time in your life when you were too hands-on like me, and you were getting cross and blaming everybody, but realising that it's you yourself that's being too much of a fussy hands-on parent. And please let me know how you learnt from that, and how you learnt to let your children learn how to do things themselves, learn how to make mistakes themselves, like the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. How even though you maybe have been wincing because they may have been distressed by something, how you gritted your teeth and held back because you loved your child and you realised being hands-on isn't emotionally healthy for them in the long run. Okay, see you soon, and I look forward to hearing your comments soon. Bye bye.